This month, I decided to learn a language that is unlike anything I'd ever learned before, my mystery dabble language, Georgian. In this video, I want to take you along on my dabble journey, just give you an idea of what things looked like, what resources I used, and what I struggled with. And I very conveniently got this textbook as a gift for Christmas. But I'm in no rush, and if I don't like it, I will literally just drop it. You may wonder, why Georgian? To which I say, why not? Honestly, I don't know where it started, I just know the script looks incredibly interesting, and I've heard from multiple people, famous polyglots, that Georgian is a very different and very difficult language to learn, which is why I just wanted to give it a try, see what it's like, see what all those rumors are about. When I started a month ago, I knew I wanted to keep it super casual. I have no intention of speedrunning this language, so I didn't even set any routine or anything. And the only two goals I set, which aren't even goals, but more like orientation or direction markers, were that I wanted to learn the alphabet, how to read and write, not even like fluently, but to a point where the letters don't look like ancient squiggles anymore. And I wanted to work through the first chapter in this textbook I got, just to get even the faintest idea of the sentence structure, how words come together, stuff like that. Since I did have a really lax, aka inconsistent approach, it did take me a good while, like two and a half weeks, to even get an idea of the letters. Ai, ia, ai, bi. Abi, Nana, Mama, Ta, Titi, okay. Alright, let's see how many of the first like 20 or so I can remember. Zaza, Muza, Zazu, Na, Zazuna. What is that letter again? Oh no. Wait, okay, hold on. It's a weird p sound, that's right. Ba. Puri. How do you write this one again? Oh yeah, it's up, down, up. Down, up. Zami. Tsami. Zami. Tsami. Tsami. Why can't I remember the T? Tsuti. Pizza. Oh, pizza, probably. Pizza. Tsarbi. Pizza. That means uncle. Pizza means uncle. Okay, sure. An hour and a half later, and I have gone through all the letters that there are, all 33 of them, I believe, and so now I have a general idea of what they're supposed to look like, at least. Even though it was a little confusing with, the handwritten style versus the computer font, so I'm gonna have to have a look at how they're actually written by hand rather than when you type them out. But either way, knowing at least the general shape, I guess, is good progress. Though I felt like I was being a little dyslexic there because, like, all these letters, some of them, they're like the same, just in reverse, and I'm like, no, this is too much, and then they just add like a little loop at the top, and I'm like, these letters are way too similar for my liking, but they're very cute. I also gotta say, all things considered, the pronunciation is not as bad as I thought it would be. I've heard really scary stories about the pronunciation, and then I hear it, I'm like, okay, well, it's not that difficult. Like, a lot of these sounds are just very similar to other languages I know, and then the other sounds I can kind of imagine pretty well, and so I feel like I didn't do too bad, but it's hard to judge because I literally don't know anything. So I don't know, I guess I'm gonna review the letters again this evening because I'm pretty sure I'll forget probably half of them, and then we'll just go from there, see what I can do tomorrow and the following days, and I'm excited. This was so much fun. I had so much fun learning these letters. A little after this first session, I realized that the letters are supposed to be of different heights in relation to each other, but they're also supposed to be starting at different points in relation to the line. I'm gonna go through my notes, the ones that I wrote down yesterday, and review all the letters, but I want to compare what I wrote down with what's written in this textbook, because I'm not sure that I caught all the pronunciation correctly, and I just want to make sure that I know all the letter pronunciation combinations. And I also have this channel pulled up where they handwrite the letters, because, you know, yesterday I wasn't exactly sure how to write all these letters, and I mean, they probably look pretty weird, so I'm gonna work on that. I ended up never adding them to Anki, which I still think would have been a really good idea, but I instead just started reading practice in the intro chapter of my grammar textbook, which they have like random words, days of the week, family names, and then I also have this graded reader, bilingual graded reader book. But I really struggled with it because they used a different font, and that threw me off so hard that even reading the chapter titles took me so long. Levanis na nachati. Levanis nachati. Levanis nachati. Receptei receptei. It's been a while since I looked at any of the letters, so I probably forgot a lot of them, but I do want to get started on the first chapter, like the grammar and vocabulary and all that. So I think what I'm going to do is just try to read through the first lesson text. And I know I'm not going to do all of that today because my reading is just so slow, and obviously I don't remember all the letters, but I'm thinking I'm going to try to read like 2 or 3 sentences maybe. That might sound ridiculous to you, okay? I understand that that is not a lot, but remember, I'm reading at like 10 letters a minute, so it's going to take me like forever. Luckily, the first lesson still has romanization, which I know you shouldn't necessarily use, but it's definitely going to help me to remember the letters faster than like flipping through my book every time. So that's what I'm going to do over the next, I don't know, week, 2, however long it may take to get the letters down, get the vocabulary down, get familiar with the grammar, and then we will see how we continue after that. Tamaz. Okay, this is not gonna work. Tamazi. Ha? Is that ha? Ga? What is this letter? Da. Da. Kevini. Gedebian. Erdman. Ne. Ku. Chashi. Erdmanets. Gedebian. The first 2 times I read through that chapter text, it took me like 40 to 50 minutes respectively, and this isn't even 25 lines. And obviously I also had no idea what I was reading. I was just comparing, you know, the Georgian text to the English translation, but I did already start to see patterns in how certain things were formed and certain things were attached to other things, even though I had no idea what they meant. And then as I worked through the first chapter's grammar, I was like, oh, this is what this pattern does that I've been seeing all over. Now it makes sense. Now I can understand what it does grammatically in the sentence. And I would like flip back and forth between the chapter text and the grammar section of the chapter and like compare and analyze what was going on. Very interesting grammar, especially the verb conjugation that I just had a look at is very different from anything I've ever seen before, any of the other languages I studied, because so they conjugate the verbs according to number and person and number, and then depending on which conjugation, it's not only that the ending ends, but sometimes there's no ending and instead they put a letter in front of the verb. So the example is work, and then you have, so work is mushaub, and then if you want to say I work, you say vmushaub, which is so interesting to put that in front of the verb. And then if you want to say you, as in like formal you work, mushaubt, you don't put the V, but you put the T in the end. And that is just kind of crazy to me. Like, that's a whole different system of adding letters at different parts of the word, and like the consonant clusters go crazy. For example, the word for live, to live, is tsoverob. But then you want to say I live, you gotta add a V in front of that. So now it's not tsoverob, now it's vtsovrob. That's crazy. I did notice that there were a few forms that I just assumed were different declensions, but they weren't introduced in the first chapter, so I got curious and flipped through the next few chapters, just had a look at the grammar. It is very interesting, very different, but I was right that this particular grammar structure that I saw in the first chapter would only be introduced in chapter 4. And then the month was already over. My Georgian reading speed still a little shaky and my grammar knowledge still extremely superficial. But I gotta say, I had a lot of fun, especially with the no pressure, no expectations approach, just dipping my toes into a language that is so very different and just kind of seeing where it takes me. I think one thing I will take away from this is just how limited you are in the beginning, especially when you have to learn a new alphabet and you're reading it like 10 letters a minute because you have to sound out and piece together every single word, and you keep forgetting the letters and you need to review them, and it's just slow and painful and frustrating. And that just gave me a lot of appreciation for how far I've come with my Japanese reading, but also even my Korean reading, where I don't generally have problems anymore sounding out words and putting together the letters. And I'm sure I would get there with my Georgian eventually too, but right now it's obviously really slow and really painful, and that just really put it into perspective for me. So what's next? Again, I have no intention of getting good at this language anytime soon. I really like the very casual, occasional interaction with it, and I think I will keep it that way, because I am very curious what else there is to the grammar, but I don't want to put any pressure on myself. So that's where things currently are, that's what I've been up to, and I hope to see you again next week for a Dutch speaking progress update.